F100 Nation, Episode 13. Joe Bolin with BFD Performance. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Today we had an opportunity to catch up with Joe Bolin from BFD Performance, Northwest Truck Fest, and he told us a little bit about his current build that he's working on. Overall, fantastic episode. I'm really looking forward to Northwest Truck Fest here at the end of the month. It's over in Boise. You guys can check it out at bfdperformance.com. If you are in the area, definitely come out, check out the event. There's going to be a dyno, all kinds of cool stuff there, but we definitely get into that more in the podcast. So we'll hop in here and say hello.
I appreciate you taking the time to come on and chat with us. I know we got a lot of things to talk about, your Centurion build that you got going on, your performance company, as well as the Northwest Truck Fest. So,
yes, sir.
Let's hop in here and let's hear a little bit about, what got you kind of into the industry, what made you fall in love with Ford trucks in general.
So I actually have a little bit different background than probably most people would expect or kind of believe. A lot of people, especially my age, I'm 24, so a lot of people my age, people just assume that they grew up with dad or grandparents or family kind of revolving their whole days and lives around vehicles and things like that. And I actually come from a polar opposite background. My dad owns a construction company. My mom's a teacher. And actually none of them, including any of my siblings, are interested in cars or trucks, let alone the performance aspect of it. And I actually went to college, graduated with a health science degree. But my sophomore year, I was like, you know what? This whole on-call thing, this whole kind of having to be somewhere when someone else wants me to be, that type of thing, that didn't really seem appealing to me. And I'd always had a passion for vehicles. Ever since I was little, I'd be drawing cars and trucks, obviously very poorly. However, it was always in the back of my head. And so my sophomore year of college, I decided to start my company, BFD Performance, and that's kind of the history of it, and now we're here.
Very cool. Well, I know that's rocking and rolling pretty good, but what drew you to the Centurion? So, we'll backtrack here a little bit. I know that that's something that you're building, and tell me a little bit more about that.
So I have always been a fan of Broncos. That's kind of one of the very first vehicles I fell in love with. And so when I first started my company, I couldn't really afford anything fancy, especially since I was in college. I was playing two sports and had college tuition. But the OBS Bronco, the 92s to 96s, because they ended in 96, that body style I really fell in love with. And I also fell in love with the price, because you can find a beater or junker, one of those, for $500 to $1,000. And so that kind of what first drew me to the Bronco. Obviously at that time I couldn't afford a first or second gen, because those go for crazy amount of money. So I decided to start with a later body style, so the 92 to 96s. And I started repairing those, flipping those, and then I actually, when I first started, I didn't even know that Ford made a Centurion Bronco, there's other companies converting them into four-doors. And so when I first found one, I was like, oh my gosh, I found a four-door Excursion, an OBS Excursion. And people were like, oh my gosh, is this guy crazy? That's not an Excursion, that's a Centurion. And so after being humiliated on a Facebook page, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do some research into that. And so I just fell in love with them. I know they're not super common, and so I'd kind of been looking for one to build. And then lo and behold, I was headed out to my grandparents' house, which is about 15 minutes from where my parents lived. And so I'm headed out there. There's a windy little road, and there's a gentleman out there that has a bunch of acreage and a bunch of vehicles. And as I was driving by, I was like, man, that looks like there's a normal OBS Ford crew cab pickup. I was like, with a tonneau cover of some sort. And I was like, that's pretty sweet. There's in the side of a field next to a barn, just weeds overgrew it, things like that. So drove past, hung out with my grandparents. Then on my way back, I kind of took another double glance and slowed down when I was going by there. And in the back of the 92 to 96's Broncos, right behind the the front door, it doesn't go straight down like a normal pickup would of the cab. It has a slight slant where the shell would be attached. And so I saw that slight slant, and I said, oh, my gosh, this guy owns a Centurion. And so I kind of freaked out a little bit. I didn't want to go talk to him right away, and so I let it pass for probably 2 years, and I was like, finally, I got to go talk to this guy because these things are not common. I wanted to build one. I'm already into kind of the Bronco business, and so figured that was my next step. And so I finally gained the courage to go talk to him, and we worked out a deal. And so it's a slow process just because I want to do it right. It's going to be a show vehicle along with a company vehicle that will show off kind of what we do and the products we sell and things we can do for customers.
That's awesome. So I've seen a few renderings of the truck and things like that, but what do you kind of have planned as far as like a heart for the vehicle and, the overall picture?
Yeah, so that's actually kind of what's been holding me up. I want to do a 6.7 swap into it. And what I really want to do is I want to find a donor truck, so a wrecked 11 to 16 Ford Super Duty. And I really just want to pull the cab and the bed off and put the Centurion body on it. And so it would have the frame, axles, suspension, motor from a 6.7, and then as well as interior swap it. And the nice thing, I think my biggest love for Ford is everything's really interchangeable without a lot of manufacturing and fabricating. And so once I figured that out and kind of how easy it is, I knew I wanted to interior swap it. And so that's kind of where we're at right now with it. I mean, drivetrain 6.7, kind of whole body and axle or frame and axles will be from a 6.7. And then, like I said, I'm just looking for a donor truck right at this point to where I can kind of rip it apart, rip the Centurion apart, and start messing around with it.
That's awesome. So will that body transfer on to like a crew cab short bed frame without any modification or anything?
Essentially, it's got a little bit of modifications. However, it's extremely doable. It's a couple inches off. Kind of the hesitant, the rough measurements we have, it's only a few inches off, which is not bad at all, considering it's about a 20-year difference in a vehicle. So that will work out pretty well. And then obviously by using the same 6.7 motor with the rest of the truck, the motor mounts will be the same, things like that. So for the most part, it should be an easy conversion. I mean, people put 7.3s and things like that into the OBS Fords that are non-diesels. So, I mean, hesitantly, it should be relatively easy. Like I said, we haven't gotten a 6.7. Obviously, we've seen 6.7s, but we haven't ripped one completely apart and tried to put a Centurion body on it. So the exact measurements I'm not completely sure on, but I mean, people interior swap all the time of OBS Fords and things like that, and it's relatively easy. I mean, I'm going into this completely ignorant, and just from the videos I've watched and articles and blogs and things like that, that's kind of what I'm basing my opinion off of. But like I said, it should be relatively easy once we start getting down to the nitty-gritty.
That's awesome. I look forward to that, man.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it.
It's going to be a really, really cool build. So tell me a little bit more about, what your company does. I know you sell and kind of service the aftermarket accessories and parts and things like that, heavily on the diesel side. But yeah, man, tell me all about it.
Yeah, so like I said, it started my sophomore year of college, and it kind of progressed from there. We mainly specialize in aftermarket performance and accessory parts, so anything from cold air intakes to SCT tuners to wheels, tires, to lift kits, to exhaust, lights, headlights, things like that. We kind of cater to all the off-road vehicle lovers. We don't do just diesel. We have obviously the F-150s, the Broncos, the Jeeps, things like that. We offer products for Hummer, things like that. And so that's mainly where our main income comes from, to put forth money into these other builds. And then just recently in the past 2 years, we started doing Broncos, and that's kind of my main love right now. Is obviously the BFD, the aftermarket parts, that kind of keeps the lights on and doors open. However, my real main passion and what I really wanted to get into and where I want to take the company, the direction, is kind of getting to restoring vehicles. And so I figured this was an easy way to get into that.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So I know you guys carry Fusion bumpers, and I saw a post a few days back,
yes.
I guess it's in a couple of weeks, that there's going to be some 73 through 79 support for those.
It is. So actually, Fusion Bumpers is right down the road from us. We could throw a rock and hit their warehouse. However, I kind of heard that they were looking into that. Johnny had a truck from his childhood that his dad was the original owner on it, and he's had that for a while. And so he's just now getting around to building bumpers for that. It's kind of a small market for those older vehicles to build bumpers, because how many, they're far and few between are people wanting to actually put aftermarket bumpers and things like that on compared to the newer body styles and things like that. But I'm happy he just pulled the trigger. He's just finishing up the first-gen Dodges, the first-gen Cummins, and so I'm excited to see those. He's doing some older GMC and Chevys, which I'm also excited to see about. But yeah, I'm jacked for this, because I know you have recently got a dent side Bronco, which I'm kind of jealous about, and so this really, now they're making bumpers for it, this really makes me want to get a dent side pickup truck or a Bronco and see what they look like on them.
You definitely need one of those in your life. I mean, there's no question.
I know. Trust me, every day on Craigslist I'm looking for one.
There's something else that's pretty exciting that's going to be going on in Boise that you've been working on putting together. I know it's here in the end of June. It's called Northwest Truck Fest, right? So,
yes, sir.
What are the details there? How do people kind of get signed up to come? I mean, what's kind of the overall, the 10,000-foot view on that event?
So Northwest Truck Fest will be held June 29th to July 1st at the O'Connor Fieldhouse in Caldwell, Idaho. It's a 23,000 square foot facility that we're going to have vendors, things like that, Fusion bumpers, other manufacturers inside, showcasing SEMA trucks, show trucks. Their recent products are going to be on display. And then the surrounding properties is going to be the truck show, where we have vehicles registered to be on show display. We're going to have a dyno event, a burnout event. And my main goal behind that was this area is growing so much, and it's all over social media, all over news platforms, that Boise is kind of the place to go in the country right now with how big they're growing. Forbes actually had an article that it's the #1 growing city in the United States. And so with that comes obviously a lot of people. And so there's no really truck-specific show around here in the Treasure Valley that caters to truck enthusiasts. There's Hunting for Horsepower up in northern Idaho, Coeur d'Alene. There's Randy's Transmissions in Utah. But there's nothing, in the Nampa, Caldwell, Meridian, Boise area. And so we talked about this a couple of months ago, that there needs to be something around here to cater to all the truck enthusiasts around here. And so there's plenty of awesome mechanic shops. There are diesel mechanic shops around here. There's awesome manufacturers around here, like Fusion, Titan Fuel Tanks up in northern Idaho, BFD Performance, it's the wholesale company. They're in northern Idaho in Rexburg. And so there's plenty of companies around here, and big name companies, that there's no reason why we don't have a truck specific show around here. And so a couple of months back, I decided to kind of pull the trigger. And so now we're here. To register for it, you can go to bfdperformance.com, and there you click on the events, and Northwest Truck Fest will be there. And so you can kind of read the rules, the dates that are happening, the things that are happening, things like that. And you can choose to register a truck. You can choose to register for the dyno. You can, if you want some booth space inside the O'Connor Fieldhouse, you can rent out booth space. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. I just want to have a weekend full of trucks and seeing things blow up on the dyno and people there enjoying it. So that's kind of the main goal of it.
That's awesome. Hopefully, you can draw people in. I know you have a number of people already signed up to come, but it's really, exciting that what I've seen, you're drawing people in from Washington and Oregon and California and, Nevada and Utah, and everybody's just kind of converging. So, having that presence in the Northwest where, you don't have to drive forever and ever and ever to really showcase and get a bunch of like-minded people together. It's pretty exciting.
Exactly. And that was kind of the main goal. I mean, every single year when it gets around hunting for horsepower up in Coeur d'Alene, people around here, they're jacked to go, but they're like, oh my gosh, I have to spend 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours in a car ride, or, in a truck to haul another truck or something like that just to go up there and see that. And so I'm pretty excited about it. Northwest Dyno Circuit will be hosting the dyno, and their whole business concept is actually genius, and kind of how they have it's kind of like NASCAR. You get certain points for certain wins and things like that. And so by having another event in Idaho for people who go to hunting for horsepower, they kind of get 2 or 3 or 4 extra runs at a dyno within the year, and they don't have to travel for it. And so that was kind of the big thing. I didn't know how big this dyno event was going to be. For the price, I needed it to be big. But I didn't know the kind of positive feedback I got from it. And so as soon as we posted, hey, Northwest Dyno Circuit's going to be here, kind of this is the price to get a couple passes on the dyno, people were freaking out because usually they would get 1 or 2 chances at Randy's or hunting for horsepower be on a dyno, and now it's another chance on a dyno, and it's local. They only have to drive 15, 20 minutes to dyno their truck instead of 6 hours. And so I think a lot of people are going to be ecstatic about that. And so, I mean, I'm just excited. I love trucks. I love vehicles. I love the show atmosphere, and to have that kind of in our backyard is definitely what I'm most excited for.
That's awesome. So I know you had a cap of 200 trucks, and I saw that you immediately lifted that. Now you're, expanded to where the limit is kind of at 300 now. I mean, is there still room for people to get in?
There will be, yeah. So we a truck show, you need a certain amount of area around a vehicle or kind of park next to a vehicle to be able to actually showcase a vehicle. And so a lot of the big truck shows, they cap out at a certain amount of vehicles to kind of make an exclusive feel. And so at first in my head I was like, we'll cap at 100 vehicles. That should be good. It's the first year event, and so I didn't want to make it, they want to hype it up and then have it kind of dull and people were like, well, this sucks. And so my main idea was, start it small, and if it is packed, if it kills it, if it's an awesome event, next year we can grow from it and kind of figure out what to do better. And so after 100, I was like, maybe we need to move it up to 200. And then so right now it's at 300 is kind of the cap. And unfortunately, the 320 mark will be the cap just because we're running out of available space at the O'Connor Fieldhouse to rent out. And so, I guess that's a good issue to have. However, right now it's about 320 will be the end cap. And so if we meet that cap and we have to turn away trucks, then next year we might have to look for another location to be big enough to offer 400 or 500 vehicle cap. And so it's a good issue to have. I'm not complaining. It's just an observation. But yeah, I'm super jacked about it.
That's exciting, man. I'm glad that there is such a push behind it. I know I'm excited to come over to the show and hang out and soak it all up, take pictures and video, and just enjoy the event. So I'm pretty excited about coming over.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be fun, especially since there's nothing really like that around here. So it's definitely something you're going to want to go to. We're going to have food vendors. We're having this great barbecue joint, Junior's Barbecue from up north. They're coming down with a bunch of smoked meat. We're going to have, a cartoonist, a caricature cartoonist is going to be in our booth doing free caricatures for people. So the whole point was to have a family-friendly event that the whole entire family can enjoy on a weekend. And so as long as we hit that goal, I'll be happy.
Well, it sounds like you're well on your way and that the support's really there. Be sure to, hop on. I don't know anybody who's out there needs to hop on to Instagram and follow Northwest Truck Fest and make sure you follow BFD Performance. Show Joe the support here, and it's pretty exciting. So thanks for taking the time to chat and tell us all about what's kind of going on over there.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for taking your time out of your day and thinking of me with these podcasts. Truck guy
Yeah.
to truck guy, you always enjoy sharing your recent builds and things you've done in the past and things that are coming ahead. So I appreciate it, and I always look forward to these weekly podcasts and kind of listening to what other people else in the world are doing. So hopefully someone else enjoys this one.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate it, and I know they will. I'm looking forward to doing some live interviews while I'm at the show. So
Oh yeah, definitely.
I can't wait, man. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, as are we. Well, yep, definitely. June 29th, July 1st, O'Connor Fieldhouse. Sign up at bfdperformance.com, and the more the merrier.
Yeah, show them some love, guys. Get over there, give them some likes, throw up a comment, let them know that you listen to the podcast, and yeah, we'll catch you real soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Evan.
It was great catching up with Joe. Looking forward to seeing him here at the end of June out over in Boise. So again, if you guys are in the area, make sure come out, support the event, check it out. It should be a killer time. I'm gonna have a 61 F100 there at the show that belongs to my buddy. Pretty cool. Really excited about the whole thing. The dyno should be off the chain. Obviously, there's gonna be food, drink, anything you guys could want out there. If you want to get tickets ahead of time, you can head over to BFD Performance. If you want to show your truck, head over to bfdperformance.com and, fill out all the information and, be a part of this. It's really cool. Obviously, this is going to be the first annual event, and looking forward to continuing this tradition year after year after year. So, again, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to the podcast. And, we'll catch you next time.